Alrighty, good morning everybody and welcome to another 30-foot drop live webinar. Today we are doing tapping in part 2 out of 6 and we are looking at how businesses can employ people with impairment. So yesterday we had a look at why businesses should really regard people with impairment as amazing employees, having a look at some of the studies and some of the subsidies that are available. So hopefully we've built up a little bit of an understanding about why they make good such employees. So today we'll go through how you can go about employing them. So let's get into it. 30-foot drop acknowledges the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and community. We would pay our respects to them and to their cultures and to elders both past, present and emerging. We would also like to acknowledge the Department of Communities Disability Services here in WA for funding this and many other initiatives. Without their support, so many projects such as Two Wise Monkeys would never see the light of day. And as a community, we would be much poorer for it. So, this workshop is part of the Realities and Advantages of Access and Inclusion Grant awarded to 30-foot drop as part of the Information Linkages and Capacity Building Grants of 2018 to 2019. A little bit of housekeeping before we get underway. Unfortunately, we do not have the resources to monitor all of our live streams during these sessions. So, I really encourage you guys to head to www.30footdrop.com.au/live. Okay, there you will find another version of this live stream along with chat boxes that you can use to interact with us. This interaction makes the webinars so much more efficient and you'll get so much more out of it if you do that. So I really encourage you to head to www.30footdrop.com.au/live. Okay, we'll be covering a lot of information in a short period of time today. So we recommend that attendees take actions they can to minimise distractions so you can absorb everything that goes in. But if you do happen to miss something or you can't hang around for the entirety of the webinar, or if you're somebody who, or you know somebody who would really benefit from this information but can't fit into our schedule, that's fine. We are recording all of our live sessions and uploading them onto YouTube and Vimeo. Okay, you can go on there and watch them, recheck them, everything like that at any time that you want. We will also be referencing research during our session today. Okay, any of those research papers that we reference, they are available on the 30-foot drop digital resource library. So you can head to our webpage and go to the library there, and there is so much information, so much more than what we're covering in these webinars. There are interpretations of Australian standards, checklists, there is information pamphlets, there is research papers, there's so much good stuff on there, okay? Have a look through it. You will be absolutely amazed. And last bit of housekeeping, look, we have a short survey for attendees to complete at the end of the webinar. It's 6 questions, take 30 seconds. It really helps us out. So please do. You'll find that on the 30-foot drop live page, www.30footdrop.com.au/live. Scroll down the bottom there and you will find the links. All right, allow me to introduce myself. I am your wise monkey for today. My name is Ben. I am the Managing Director here at 30-foot drop. I am see no evil. I am see no evil because I have a very obvious impairment. I am a C5 quadriplegic. So you can't really see it at the moment in the camera, but I require a wheelchair to get around. My wheelchair is basically my legs. So it becomes very hard to actually, it's very obvious impairment. Okay. On top of that as well, you may notice my hands are a little bit weird as well. So I am see no evil because by the end of this webinar series, you will have gained enough information from us that you will see no evil about impairment. My co-presenter Lisa, who will be doing tonight's webinar, she is hear no evil. She is hear no evil because she has an invisible impairment. And like all invisible impairments, unless that person actually lets you know, you have no idea that it's there. Which is why she's hear no evil, because through her, you will hear no evil about impairment. But there is normally 3 wise monkeys. Okay, so who do you think the third's going to be? The third is going to be you guys. You are going to become Speak No Evil. Okay? Through the information that you gain here today and over the other webinar sessions that we do, you will leave these speaking no evil about impairment. So, what are we going to cover today? How are we going to get you started on the journey of the wise monkey? Well, there is a lot to learn about people with impairment and how to employ these amazing people. First up, we're going to have a look at disability employment service providers, what they are and how they can help your business thrive. Okay. After that, we'll go through 5 tips on how you can prepare your business to employ people with impairment. And to finish up, we're going to do an open forum session. Okay, now, how are we going to do this? How are we going to cover this? What is our teaching method? Our teaching method is open, honest conversations, okay? Really, completely feel free to ask any questions. That is what we are about here at 30 Foot Drop. So any questions you have, they don't have to be about what we're covering today. They can be about everything. It is an Ask Me Anything style webinar, this one. And on top of that, you will notice that there is very little written content on the slides. This is because you're here to interact with me, your presenter, okay, and not the screen. So in order to facilitate both of these things, I once again really encourage people to go to www.30footdrop.com.au/live. And that way you can interact with us through the chat function there. Okay, before we get into the meat of how to employ people with impairment, I want to do a quick terminology review. And now I'll do this to actually reduce confusion and to ensure understanding. Okay, so the first bit of terminology I want to look at is the difference between disability and impairment. Okay, you will have noticed that so far I have been referring to myself as a person with an impairment instead of the normal reference of people or person with a disability. Okay, that's because we have been using the word disability wrong. Let me explain. I'll start off by explaining what an impairment is. So an impairment is an injury, illness, or congenital condition that causes or is likely to cause an injury, a difference or loss of physiological or psychological function. To simplify that, in short, an impairment is your medical diagnosis. It is how you are different or how you function differently to the rest of society. So for example, my impairment is that I'm a C5 quadriplegic with post-traumatic stress in remission. Okay, that is my impairment. That is how I operate differently to everybody else. Okay, so that's my impairment. Most people would refer to that as a disability, but that isn't right. And that's because a disability, okay, is actually the loss or limitation of opportunities to take part in society on an equal level with others due to social and environmental barriers. To simplify that, a disability is the barrier that stops you from being able to participate. Think about the word disability itself, okay? So disability or disable, okay, is something that makes you unable to take part in or participate in an activity, okay? So the impairment is how you are different. The disability is the barriers that stop you from being able to participate. So I hope that's made sense. Actually, no, here we go. My impairment is a C5 quadriplegic, but as a business owner, you might be disabling me by only having steps into your shop. And if you disable me from being able to access your shop and participate in it, then you're disabling my ability to be able to spend money to buy your goods and services. Okay? So, that is disability and impairment. The next one is looking at the difference between access and inclusion. Access and inclusion is a subject that a lot of businesses have given thought to. The problem is that people think that access and inclusion is just one thing, but it's not, okay? Access is completely different to inclusion. And because people tend to think of only one lump, a whole section tends to get missed out on. So, First of all, I'm going to explain to you what access is. Access refers to the removal or reduction of barriers, both physical and attitudinal, to the participation in the activities and functions of a community. Okay? At its core, access focuses a lot on the physical world around us, and it's very easily assessed as with a checklist. Okay, so it really is. Most subjects to do with access, there are Australian standards around it, there are checklists around it, there are gold standards about it. It's very, very easy to assess and figure out whether your business or organisation is accessible. Okay, it is very easy to do. As a result, so many businesses only ever seem to focus on access and think that if they have the access, then obviously they have the inclusion. But that isn't correct. Okay, because where access is physical, inclusion is psychological. Okay? So inclusion is the process whereby every person who wishes to can participate fully in all aspects of an activity or service in the same way as any member of the community. Okay? So access is being able to get in there. Inclusion is knowing that you can fully participate in whatever is happening inside that store. Okay? So for me, access is knowing that I turn up to a meeting and people are going to take me seriously, impairment or not. They're going to take my opinion seriously, that they are going to listen to me. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. Oh, and by the way, inclusion is not just impairment specific. Okay? Impairment is only one small part of it. Okay? Inclusion is community wide. So we're talking, inclusion is when people can participate irrespective of their age, impairment, gender, religion, sexual preference, or nationality. Okay? Inclusion is so much wider than impairment. So hopefully that's made sense. If not, and you have questions, please, I'll keep on saying it, head to www.30footdrop.com.au/live and use the chat function there, okay? In the meantime, let's get on with the body of the subject today and start off with disability employment services and looking at what they are and how they can help and how they're funded. So let's start off with what are they, okay? Disability employment service providers help people with an impairment find and keep a job, okay? Their purpose is to find people like myself meaningful, lasting employment. Now, these providers, okay, are actually called DES providers for short, Disability Employment Service Providers. From now on, I'll be referring to them as DES providers, okay? Through DES providers, people with an impairment, injury or health condition may be able to receive assistance to prepare for, find and keep a job, okay? DES providers are a large mix of businesses, okay? They can be large, medium, small, for-profit and non-for-profit organisations that are experienced in supporting people with an impairment, as well as aiding employers to help put in place practices that support the employee in the workplace, okay? These people are amazing and they can be a real great value add to your organisation. So, how are DES providers funded? Okay, where do their money come from? They are fully funded by the government. Okay, this is a free service for businesses to access. They will not cost you anything. Okay, the providers themselves receive payments for helping participants to find and maintain work. Okay, now when you say just that, they receive payments for helping participants to find and maintain work, you may think that they're going to try and shoehorn as many people as they can into jobs, regardless of whether they are the right fit. Okay, but this is not the case. The government has thought this one through. You see, the providers earn more funding when they place more people into lasting employment. Okay, so this acts as an incentive to make sure that they make the best possible matches. So the payments are actually structured in a way that you could not be a profitable business. You could not survive on just the payments for placing, okay? Because it is very minimal for placing somebody in a job, whereas the bulk of the payments come and once they have achieved a meaningful, lasting connection, okay? So that's what disability employment service providers are, or DES providers. So what services do they offer? Well, they offer three main roles, and these are job matching, role creation, and support. So first up, job matching. What and how? How do DES providers make sure they find the right match? Okay? Well, it is about understanding both parties. Okay? They need to understand the candidate and they need to understand the businesses in order to make sure that they find the right match. Okay? So to start off with, we'll have a look at the job seeker or candidate. Okay? What they do in this case is they actually will sit down with the candidate and they'll work with them to find out their career history, their aspirations going forward. They'll work with them to understand any barriers towards employment, and they will also explore their capabilities. Okay? And then they will help to get the candidate job ready. Now, this can be through work experience, training, and volunteering. Now, these people are amazing. They are very, very experienced in figuring out what the barriers are and what their capabilities are. To use myself as an example, I am ex-infantry. When I broke my neck, I had 0 qualifications, but I knew how to work a computer fairly well. So they explored that capability, my ability to be able to work, not in a physical job like I used to, but in a non-physical capacity. And we explored the capabilities and managed to get me into the person that I am today as far as employment goes. Okay, so that's how they work with the candidate to make sure they do it. And they will always make sure that the candidate is completely job ready before they even look at finding a job for them. Okay? They work very hard in doing what they're doing. Now, how do they go about understanding the business? Well, they will work with the business to understand the employer's needs. Okay? They will also find out the business dynamics, and they may also talk to them about role creation or job carving, which we'll cover soon. Basically, as a business, in order to get the best chance of getting a good match from a DES provider, okay, you need to be as honest and open as possible. The more these people understand about your business, the better they will be able to find somebody who understands. Okay? And you are fully protected by all sorts of privacy rights by doing this. Okay? So, once they understand both sides, that's when they can find a match. So, where do their clients actually come from? Okay? Straight away, I can reassure you that DES candidates are not forced into employment. They will only seek employment for people who are willing. Okay? Now, these candidates, they come to the DES provider in a wide range of ways. Okay? Word of mouth, self-referrals, through marketing, referral from Centrelink or other government agencies, health professionals, community talks, expos. The amount of marketing that these companies do in order to attract people is amazing, because this is a brilliant service. It really, really is. All right, so that is job matching. Okay, they work with both sides to make sure that they find the best match. So, on to the next one. Role creation and job carving. What is it? Okay, so this is all about improving your business's efficiency. Okay? What they do is they find duties that can be fulfilled by less qualified candidates, allowing the more qualified to continue being productive. Okay? Now, that may sound a little bit confusing, but let me give you an example, okay? Say there are 4 mechanics employed at a workshop, okay? Now these guys, they're servicing cars all day, but they stop servicing cars and stop working on the vehicles for the last 30 minutes each day, which they spend cleaning up the workshop. Now for that 30 minutes each day, okay, these mechanics are not actually creating a profit for the business owner, okay? And it's costing the business owner a total of 2 hours' wages at full mechanics rates. Now, full mechanics rates are not cheap. Now, during that 2 hours, or that half an hour for each of them, okay, they are doing a job which can be quite easily done by somebody with a lot less qualifications. And that is where role creation comes in, okay? Employing somebody to come in for 2 hours a day at a lower rate will allow the mechanics to continue generating profit for that last 30 minutes of the day, okay? So that's what it's about. Now, there are many different ways that you can actually look at this. Mechanics is that's just one that I've plucked out, okay? There are many different roles within offices, or many different tasks within an office environment, where you find executives doing things like shredding or photocopying that can easily be done by somebody with less qualifications and at a cheaper rate, allowing that executive to continue being productive rather than spending up to an hour each day on these small tasks. That's what it's all about, by making your business more efficient. So if a DES provider offers to have a look at your business to try and find out if there is any opportunity for role creation, strongly encourage you to give it a go. It is an amazing opportunity. Now on to the last bit, support. Okay. As well as job matching and role creation, DES providers also offer the following free services: candidate support and application assistance. So, candidate support. DES providers support their candidates in their role by regular on and off site visits. Okay, so once they've actually placed somebody in a role at your business, it's not like they dump and run. Okay, they actually continue to support that employee for as long as both you as the employer and as the employee and the employee that you have, as long as you're both comfortable and both feel that it's still needed. Okay, I used to work for a DES provider. We had clients that we'd been supporting for 10 plus years in the same role because they all felt that it was still needed. So, what they do during these support visits is they do things such as ensuring the candidate continues to understand the employer's expectations, okay, which is really, really important. They'll assess for any requirements for assistive technology. So as roles change or as technology changes, there may be requirements for assistive technology. They'll monitor for any developing requirements to maintain performance. Okay, so they'll make sure that your employee is still being as productive as they were to start with. They'll make sure that they deal with any questions and issues swiftly. And lastly, most DES providers are actually contactable outside of office hours. Once you've got a post-placement support person or officer, somebody who is coming in to help support this employee, okay, as the employer, you will often get their private number that is contactable outside of office hours. These people are passionate and know what they're about. It is a brilliant service and it is so good for your business. Okay. And application support. DES providers will provide free assistance with the following applications. You've got the wage subsidies, okay, that we covered in the Tapping In Part 1 out of 6, and also the workplace modifications via Job Access, which was also covered then. Okay, these applications, they can be a lot of red tape. Okay, most DES providers will help you eagerly with both. Okay, so that means less paperwork for you, which means you can spend more time being profitable. So, how do you get started? How do you actually go ahead and do this? First up, get in touch with your local DES provider. As I said yesterday in Tapping In Part 1 out of 6, just search Disability Employment Service and then your area, and ta-da, they'll come up with so many different options, okay? And don't be afraid to ask around, okay? Find out who's got a good reputation. Once you get in touch with them, provide them with the required information. As I said before, make sure that you are honest about this. Give them as much information as you can, because the more they understand your business, the better chance they have of being able to find the right match for you. Then go ahead and employ the matched candidate. Okay? The DES provider, they will gather the required evidence and fill out all the paperwork for you. Okay? And step 5, enjoy your amazing new employee. So as you can see, if you go via DES providers, employing somebody with an impairment is a nice, quick and easy process. Okay? They will help you with so much. They are a value add to your business. So, hopefully you guys have seen how easy it can be to do this. If you have any questions, please head to www.30footdrop.com.au/live, okay? And use the chat boxes there to ask any questions that you've got. But for now, I want to go into 6 easy tips on how you, as a business, can actually prepare yourselves to employ somebody with an impairment. Okay? So, tip 1, candidate selection. Okay? As with all hiring, it is important to get the right match. That is the majority of issues around employing people is actually finding that right match. Okay? So, when you're doing it, you need to remember that a person's impairment may be irrelevant, okay, to the actual kind of work required, which means people with an impairment can be employed with all across the board. Using a DES provider will give you access to a far wider talent pool, along with objective and relevant advice when making your selection. Okay, really encourage you to use a DES provider for these. Tip number 2, disability awareness training. Okay, many teams actually get apprehensive when dealing with a new team member living with an impairment. Okay, conducting targeted training for your staff can address these questions and help people be confident working with their new colleague. It also has, this awareness training, the added benefit of promoting a positive attitude and teamwork within your organisation. And funding is available for awareness training through Job Access. Okay, so that's tip 2, disability awareness training. Tip 3, accessibility. Preparing your workplace that is accessible will allow the employee to do their job and help with a smooth onboarding process. Okay, now needs will vary depending on individuals' needs. Okay, the best way to find out is to talk to the person that you're employing and their DES provider. Okay, they will know what they need. They will know if anything is actually needed to be changed. Okay, funding is available for all workplace modifications. We covered those yesterday and tapping in part 1 out of 6. And other considerations may include rosters and work practices. Okay, and you know what? Often they will come up with ideas to actually help improve efficiency around the workplace. So that's tip number 3, look at your accessibility. Tip number 4, induction and mentoring. Okay, your new employee should receive an induction, relevant workplace training and ongoing support through a designated buddy or mentor, especially in the early stages of employment. This is a gold standard practice in most businesses anyway. Okay, making sure that your employee feels welcome and is given all the information that they need. Okay. You should also think about any reasonable adjustment beforehand that may be necessary to make an induction and intake process as mutually rewarding as possible. Okay, so induction and mentoring, think ahead. Okay, plan what you can and help to make the most of this situation. And then my final tip, okay, is the post-placement consultant. If your employee is connected with a DES provider, they will have a consultant allocated to provide post-placement support completely free of charge. Okay. In addition to supporting the employee, the consultant is also intended to as a go-to person if you have any questions or concerns. Okay? Use the consultant as a free resource to you and your team to ensure things run as smoothly as possible in the first few months of this role. Okay? So those are my 5 tips. Okay? Hopefully that has made absolutely sense to everybody. And with that, that is the content that we have for today. So, for those that are not hanging around for the question time, thank you very much for attending. Please take the time to fill out the survey at www.30footdrop.com.au/live. 6 questions, 30 seconds, simple. For those that are hanging around for the questions, okay, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time to chuck some questions in. I'll give you until 11:35, but if you head to www.30footdrop.com.au/live and enter any questions that you've got in there. And I will come back online at 11:35 to answer them. Catch you then. And we're back. Looks like we didn't receive any questions today, which is absolutely fine. Pardon me, sorry. Wow. Really hope that everybody stays safe and healthy out there. World's getting crazy. Look after yourselves. Look after each other. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Catch you next time.